Hi, everybody. I am delighted to talk to you today, just for a few minutes, about a few tips for going abroad and saving money and seeing the sights easily. The first thing I want to recommend is to use good shoe leather. I know that those of you who like to walk and can love to use the metro. And I think the Tube in London is really a wonderful way to go. And of course, the Paris Metro is superb. You would be surprised how far you can go in both of these cities on the Metro. Take in some fabulous sights and see a great deal. First of all, let's talk about where to stay. And while your choice of hotel or apartment or Airbnb is totally dependent upon your finances and your desire to be in proximity to some of these great places to see, nonetheless, using public transportation, not just the metro, but also the buses. And of course, now we have Uber and Lyft and My Driver, all of which I've used in one way or another and absolutely loved every one of them. Let's talk about London, for example. If you are close to a metro stop, and you can probably find any kind of hotel or accommodation close to a good metro stop. You will learn the city very quickly and to your gratification too, because the London Metro, much like the Paris Metro, takes you through a marvelous selection of the city's sights. So use good shoe leather. Buy good shoes before you go, whether you're using public transportation or whether you're with a tour group, because you will be doing a lot of walking, a lot of standing, and sometimes a lot of running to catch the bus or the metro, or just kind of squeezing into the metro doors as they inch close. Um, in London, uh, it's it's wonderful that you can uh, use the metro 24/7, very much like the Paris Metro, and you can get around easily. And yes, you can go safely. Yesterday, my husband and I went out to lunch. It was a rare day off. I was airing my brain because I'm editing my next book, His Tempting Governess, a romantic comedy. But we went out to lunch and we met a gentleman whom my husband had worked with years ago. And he said, are you traveling any place? And we said, yes, we're going to go to Paris in a couple of weeks. And he said, oh, he said, I wouldn't go. The yellow vests are out and it's terrible. And we said, well, no, not really. The yellow vests do persist in coming out to object to some of Macron's and government policies, but they are not as violent or as effective as it might seem from newspapers. And they do tend to keep their activities to the weekends. So Saturdays and Sundays, you can easily walk around them and go to your favorite museums or your favorite houses. One of the things that's wonderful in Paris is there is a national alert system that you can put on your phone. It's called the Securite AIP. I don't know what the other initials are for, but do look up the national security app if you are going to Paris or any part of France. They've had it in effect now for about 8 years, I wanna say. I've had it on my phone that long, and I plug in the arrondissement, the, section of Paris where I'm going to go, and, it will tell me, is there any kind of a problem there? Are there riots? Is there a fire? Is there a traffic accident? So, anything at all you can think of is on this security alert system. In line with that, of course, you should always check with your local embassy or uh, uh, consular residence if you're going to a smaller city, just in case there's any kind of problem. Take your list of medications with you and take your partner's or your traveling companion's list of medications with you. Swap, in other words, so that you're always in good shape. So, buy good shoes, get the security apps, use the metro, the buses, the public transportation. Look around for some wonderful, affordable um, accommodations. You don't have to stay in a five-star hotel to have a marvelous time in either city. There are apartments to let, there are Airbnb rooms to let, and you can have a great time on a very small budget. You do not have to take a big, expensive tour. You do not have to sail down any river in order to enjoy the scenery, the ambiance, and the food. In fact, I recommend getting to know both cities at least once or twice using shoe leather. It's a great way. In London, you can see quite a few places. If you are interested in museums, well, then there's a list that will last you for weeks. And if you don't get them all in one go, then there's always next year. Come back next year and see the rest of them. I will say that my husband and I have been to London and Paris umpty ump times, and we're not finished yet. And with new exhibits all the time, it's always a great pleasure. So you can take in the museums, you can take in the city halls, you can walk in the parks, you can buy your lunch at the local pub or the local bistro, or you can buy a baguette, a bottle of wine, and some very good fromage, and sit on the banks of the Seine and watch the bateaus go by. When I come back very soon, maybe in a few days, trying to edit that book, um, I will tell you about 5 great houses that you can see in London using the tube and a little bit of shoe leather. Okay, take care of yourselves. It's spring. Spring is sprung. The grass is riz. Wonder how your daffodils is. Okay, goodbye.